So I've had loads of comments just like this one in my reply to a guy who was basically saying, why does he need a guarantor? Why does he need to pay a year's rent up front? Doesn't have any family, doesn't have anyone he can call on, so what chance does he have? And I say point blankly that you should just go and buy your own property. That way you're not at anyone's beck and call, especially in landlords. And I've had so many comments just like this. If the guy can't afford a year's rent, how is he going to get a mortgage? And straight away, that just shows me how many people we have, not just replying to my videos, but in the UK, who fail before they even try. I mean, if you thought that you couldn't do anything before you even started it, or before you even attempted it, then you're never ever going to achieve it. And buying a house is one of those things. There's so many misconceptions. There's so many false hurdles that people put in front of themselves. Whereas all you would need to do is pick up the phone to a broker. There are 100% mortgages out there. There are a lot of 99 and 95 and 90% mortgages, meaning that you don't need to save up for a large deposit. Yes, you might have to pay some fees, you might have to put a few £100 together, but it's a lot better than a year's rent up front to a landlord. So the cost to buy a house, the barrier to entries have been lifted, and there are now more incentives than there ever has been. So if you're a first-time buyer, then pretty much any house is going to be exempt of stamp duty unless you're buying over a certain price bracket or you're buying in London. And if you need a little bit of a boost towards your deposit, the government has something called a lifetime ISA, whereas you put in up to £4,000 a year and they will match and will put in another £1,000. So basically for every £4 you put in, they'll put in another pound up to £4,000. That's like a 25% tax-free gift towards your deposit. So not only is there next to no deposit mortgages where there's no stamp duty, and pretty much every mortgage has free legal fees, free valuations, and if you do need to put in a small deposit, the government is going to give you the best part of 20% towards that in a lifetime ISA. There is no excuse. The only reason that you aren't buying a property is either your own pig ignorance or you're not mortgageable because you can't or you don't have a job. And it's as simple as that. In fact, I don't understand why everyone who is employable or has an income isn't sacrificing everything, going out, drinking, going to the supermarket and stripping all of your costs back, literally just for a year, not even as long as a year, just to get your foot on the ladder. Once you own your own property, you can then start to trade up. You're not going to buy a 4-bedroom detached house straight away. You're not going to live in your dream barn conversion straight away. You're going to have to kiss some frogs and you're going to have to pay your dues. And that means living in a 1-bed or studio apartment that might be above a commercial property or above a restaurant. I had to do it. I had to buy a shitty flat above an Italian restaurant which had horrible smells before I could really start to get going. And now I live in my dream house without a mortgage, all because I geared up very, very high loan to value when I couldn't really afford it, when I was in a huge amount of debt and I had no real money for a large deposit or even to do a refurb. But I sacrificed everything that I could control to do what was important to me, which was getting on the property ladder.